I still think about that day, not because it was different, but because it was T.it was a day like any other. I had just finished my morning prayer, like I always do. The house was quiet. My wife was out running errands, and I had a short list of church visits to make before sunset. That's a big part of what I do as a pastor, not just preaching on Sundays, but showing up for my people, especially the ones who need it most. Miss Eloise was first on my list that day. She's been a member of our church for over 40 years. Her husband passed 5 years ago, and her health hasn't been great lately. She lives by herself in a small white house with a sagging porch and wind chimes that tinkle softly when the breeze rolls through. I usually bring her a few groceries and spend some time chatting. She likes to tell stories from her younger days about the civil rights marches, about her mother's sweet potato pie, about how the world's changed, and sometimes how it hasn't. That day, I pulled into her driveway like I've done 100 times before. My car was filled with bags, milk, canned goods, bread, fruit, and a little pack of lemon cookies she likes. I left the engine running and stepped out, walking up to her porch with 2 bags in hand. She opened the door with a smile. "Pastor Williams," she said, her voice light and warm. "You're right on time." We hugged. I handed her the groceries, and we chatted for a few minutes, like always. Nothing out of the ordinary. The kind of everyday kindness that shouldn't be remarkable. That's when I saw the police cruiser coming down the street. At first, I didn't think anything of it, but then the car slowed down, stopped, backed up, and then turned into the driveway, blocking my car in. I stood there with my keys in hand, heart picking up speed just a little. The officer got out slowly, one hand resting on his hip, the other holding onto his radio. He looked at me like I was a stranger trespassing on his land. "Can I help you, officer?" I asked calmly. He didn't answer that. Instead, he said, "What are you doing here?" I blinked. "I'm Pastor David Williams. I'm visiting Miss Eloise. She's a member of my church. I just brought her some groceries." He didn't seem convinced. "You got any ID on you?" he asked. I nodded and pulled my wallet from my pocket, handed him my driver's license and my church ID. He looked at them for a second, then looked back at me like he was still trying to figure something out. "We get a call about someone loitering on this property," he said flatly. I felt my chest tighten. "Loitering? Officer, I wasn't loitering. I'm here helping someone. She lives here." I turned to gesture toward Miss Eloise, who was still on the porch, holding onto the doorframe with both hands. She called out, her voice cracking, "He's my pastor. He helps me every week." But the officer barely glanced her way. "I need to know if you have permission to be on this property," he said. "Permission?" I repeated, stunned. "She just said I'm her pastor." "You heard her." He stepped forward, hand moving toward his cuffs. "Sir, I'm going to need you to turn around." I felt the blood drain from my face. "Wait, what?" "I haven't done anything wrong. You're being detained for loitering," he said. "Turn around and put your hands behind your back." I looked at Miss Eloise. She looked terrified, her eyes wide, her hands shaking. She cried out, "Stop it. He didn't do anything. He's here for me." But it didn't matter. Within seconds, I was being cuffed like a criminal. I didn't resist. I couldn't. Every story I'd ever heard, every name I'd ever said from the pulpit during a prayer for justice flashed through my mind. I thought of George. I thought of Sandra. I thought of being another name in someone's headline. They put me in the back of the cruiser. No explanation. No apology. Just silence and the sound of Miss Eloise sobbing in the background. At the station, they fingerprinted me, took my photo, put me in a holding cell. It felt cold, not just the metal bench or the concrete walls, but the way they treated me. Like I didn't matter. Like everything I said was a lie. Like who I was didn't mean a thing. I sat there for hours. And no one told me what was happening. When they finally let me go, they said it was all a misunderstanding, but they didn't return my dignity. They didn't erase what Miss Aloys saw that day. They didn't take back the fear, the shame, the humiliation. Days later, the Bodycam footage was released. You could see everything clearly. Me calmly explaining why I was there, Miss Aloys confirming my story twice, my ID, the groceries, the kindness, the truth, but none of it mattered in the moment because of what I looked like. Because a black man in a driveway, any driveway, can still be seen as a threat. Even if he's a pastor, even if he's helping someone, even if he's done everything right. When the footage hit the news, people got angry. There were statements, press releases, calls for accountability. The charges were dropped. The officer was reprimanded, but you and I both know that's not justice. That's not healing, because no matter what they say, the pain stays. The fear stays. The memory stays, and I still have to live in this skin. I still visit Miss Aloys. But now, she watches from the window until I'm safely back in my car. She worries. I do too. This country still has a long way to go. We like to tell ourselves that things have changed, that we've come far from the days of open hatred and segregation. And in some ways we have, but moments like this, they remind you that the road ahead is still long and heavy, because no matter how many suits you wear, no matter how polite you speak, no matter how much good you try to do in the world, sometimes your skin still walks in the room before you do, and for some people, that's all they need to see. That's the part that hurts the most, not just the handcuffs, not just the embarrassment, but the fact that your worth, your truth, your story can be so easily ignored, disregarded, forgotten. But maybe, just maybe, if enough people hear stories like this, if they really listen, we can start to shift something, not just in laws or policies, but in hearts. In how we see each other. In how we treat each other. Because it's not just about justice, it's about humanity. It's about being seen, being believed, being safe. And until that day comes, I'll keep showing up with groceries for Miss Aloys and anyone else who needs them, with prayer for those who are hurting, even the ones who hurt me, with love that refuses to be broken or bitter, even when it's tested, because that's who I am, because that's what faith looks like, because that's what my people have always done. Keep showing up, even in a world that tells us not to, even when the world tries to make me feel like I don't belong. I'll keep showing up anyway, because I do belong. We all do, and one day, I believe, the world will see that too. Thanks so much for watching. If this video moved you, taught you something new, or made you think, don't forget to hit that like button. Drop a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss a story that matters. Your support helps this channel grow and brings these important stories to more people. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them.